Good evening. Am I audible to all of you? Yes? Okay. So in error correction, let us take the discussion forward. Today we will discuss about pronoun errors. We'll see what are the kind of errors and how we can rectify them. Now in pronouns, we all know what exactly are pronouns. Pronouns are those words that take the place of a noun. That means they are substitute words. They replace nouns. For example, when you say Sam played with a ball, he played with it. So the pronoun he replaces Sam, the pronoun it replaces all. I have used two pronouns, he and it. They replace the nouns Sam and Paul. So in order to avoid repetition, we use pronouns. Okay? Now, as far as pronoun errors are concerned, in examinations, remember that pronoun errors, they are so frequent. Pronoun errors are so frequent that you should double check every pronoun that you come across to check if they have been used correctly. This is especially true if you are a GMAT aspirant. In GMAT, if they have used a pronoun, almost 90% of the times there's going to be some kind of an error related to that pronoun. So you have to be careful. And in error correction, the best way is actually to read the sentence slowly and carefully. Right now, what you're doing is that you are looking only for one particular error. Because when we take a topic modifiers, you are looking only at modification errors. Similarly, when we take the topic subject verb agreements, you are looking at only one particular error. Today also, when you take up an exercise on pronouns, you are looking at it only from one angle, that is pronouns. But in the examination, they will give you 4 or 5 sentences, and you'll have to check whether these sentences have any error. Over there, you'll have to look at it from all the angles. You'll have to check whether there is a subject-verb agreement error, modifier error, pronoun error, tense error, preposition error, parallelism error, comparison error. So that is why it becomes complicated. But once we are through with all the kinds of errors, then we will take up practice sessions on real questions from CAT and XAT, where we'll combine everything that we have learned and see how we can use them. So pronouns we know are the substitutes for nouns, right? And pronouns, these nouns are actually called antecedents. These now the noun that is being substituted is actually called the antecedent of the pronoun. So in this particular sentence, Sam and Paul, they both are antecedents for the pronouns he and it respectively. Okay. Now we know what are pronouns, but as far as pronouns are concerned, there are 3 main types of pronoun errors. What are these errors? We can have pronoun reference errors. We can have pronoun agreement errors. We can have pronoun case errors. So one by one, we will take a look at these 3 kinds of errors and see how we can rectify them and what exactly is meant by these errors. The first one, pronoun reference, this is pretty simple. Whenever you use a pronoun, remember, whenever you use a pronoun, then every pronoun that you use should refer to one and only one antecedent. When you use a pronoun, there should be no confusion. What is its antecedent? There should be no confusion about its antecedent. If there is a confusion about its antecedent, we say there is a pronoun reference error. That means there is a confusion about the reference of the pronoun. What is the pronoun referring to? Which noun is it referring to? For example, if you look at this sentence, it says, Neetu exercised daily so that she would stay in shape. Now, we are absolutely certain that the pronoun she refers to Neetu. There is no confusion at all. So there is no pronoun reference error. But sometimes we frame sentences in such a way that there is a confusion. who does this pronoun refer to? There can be confusion about the antecedent, and therefore those sentences would be wrong. We would have to correct them. So, if you have sentences where there are two or more possible antecedents for a pronoun, then you will have to rewrite that sentence because that sentence will be wrong. You will have to rewrite it so that there is only one possible pronoun, antecedent or referent. It's also called a referent. Referent or antecedent means the same. The example you can see here, when I write like this, when I say, need to exercise daily with Nidhi so that she would stay in shape. Now the question is, who is she? Does she refer to Nidhi or does she refer to Neetu? There can be a confusion. There can be a confusion about the antecedent, and that is why there is a pronoun reference error, and we will have to change this sentence. We will have to rewrite it. So in what way can we change this sentence? We can perhaps write it like this. There can be so many ways, but one of the ways is here. Neetu hoped to stay in shape, so she exercised daily with Nidhi. Now we know that the word she, the pronoun she is referring to Neetu. There is no confusion now. So that error is now rectified. It's as simple as this. As simple as this. If you have not understood anything or anything requires clarification till now, please ask. Is this clear? Right? Okay. Now, another thing that you need to note in pronoun reference errors is that many times you will find a sentence in which a pronoun will have no true antecedent at all. Antecedent will not be mentioned, although it seems that an antecedent is implied. Okay, it seems that there is an antecedent present, but when you actually check, no antecedent for the pronoun will be there. As far as examinations are concerned, remember, implication is not enough. There must be a stated antecedent for every pronoun. What is the meaning of this? The meaning is, again, to explain this, I will just show you one sentence. Over here, if you see, it says, friendship was something James truly valued, so he disliked it when they talked about him behind his back. Now, there are so many pronouns, he, him, his. We know all these pronouns refer to James. All these pronouns refer to James, right? But the question is, who are they? Who are they? Now, you might think that they refers to James's friends. But the word friends is never mentioned anywhere in the sentence. It is implied. The word friends is implied. Actually, we find the word friendship mentioned. We don't find the word friends mentioned anywhere. And that is why, even though this sentence looks correct, but there is a pronoun reference error, and that is why the sentence is incorrect. So we will have to rectify it. Perhaps instead of using the word they, we can use when his friends talked about him behind his back. So friendship was something James truly valued, so he disliked it when his friends talked about him behind his back. Did you understand? So whenever there is a pronoun, there should be clarity about its antecedent. If there is confusion about its antecedent, then there is a pronoun reference error. This is what is meant by pronoun reference error. Very simple concept. This is the first error. Now let's talk about the second errors that we'll see in pronouns, that is pronoun agreement. Just like in subject-verb agreement, if the subject is singular, verb is singular. If the subject is plural, verb is plural. Similarly, If the noun is singular and you are replacing it with a pronoun, then the pronoun also should be singular. If the noun is plural, then the pronoun also should be plural. So after you check for pronoun reference errors, the next thing that you need to do is to check if the pronoun agrees with the antecedent in numbers. If the antecedent is singular, then the pronoun also has to be singular. If the antecedents are plural, then you will have to pluralize the noun as well, pronoun as well. Because see, on its own, pronoun does not have any meaning, does not have any value. A pronoun exists because it substitutes a noun. So it is dependent on a noun. So whatever form the noun takes, singular or plural, accordingly, the pronoun also will have to be singular or plural. For example, you can see here, if you say police work is important as they help to enforce the laws of the country. The problem is, who is they? I'm not talking about policemen, I'm talking about police work, which is singular. Okay? So they probably it refers to policemen. But here I am using police work and not policemen. So the pronoun they is incorrect. I will have to change it. I will have to change it. I will have to correct it. So there can be two ways. There can be two ways. I can either say police work is important as it, because it is singular, police work is also singular, so it is correct. Police work is important as it helps to enforce the laws of the country. Or I can change it like this. I can say policemen, plural, are important as they refers to policemen, also plural, as they help to enforce the laws of the country. So there has to be pronoun agreement. Pronoun has to agree number with its antecedent or reference. Okay, this is very simple to understand. Right. Now you can see that we make lots of mistakes as far as pronoun agreement is concerned. For example, many people say when an employee does not agree with their boss's decision, the employee should not support that decision. Problem is an employee is singular. So how am I using a plural pronoun here? There, it's wrong. So the correct form is when an employee, singular, does not agree with his or her boss's decision, this is also singular, then he or she should not support that decision. So either I can use he or she here, or I can say then the employee should not support that decision. Both ways it is correct. Okay, other examples are here. Everyone enjoys going to parties for the simple reason that it provides an opportunity to meet his or her relatives. The problem is that parties plural. So what provides an opportunity? The parties provide an opportunity to meet relatives. Parties is plural, and I have used a pronoun here which is singular. That is why it is wrong. I can either make both of them plural. I can, if I want to use parties, then I'll have to use they. Or if I want to make it singular party, then I will have to use it. Okay? Okay. Now, Pragya, you were saying when we are not sure of gender, we sometimes refer to as they. No, it's better that you use the word it. If you're not sure about gender, then it's better that you use the word it. Can you give me some example? When you're not sure of gender, then you will treat it as plural. That is what you're trying to say. In fact, what I know is that whenever you are not sure about the gender, then it's better to treat it as singular. In subject verb agreement also I told you, whenever there is a confusion, there is a 90% possibility that that subject is going to be singular. So same thing will happen in pronouns also. Whenever that you are not certain, ये wrong है. Somebody is singular. Somebody is an indefinite pronoun. And yesterday I told you indefinite pronoun, all indefinite pronouns that end in body, one, and thing, they are singular. So we know for certain that somebody is singular, so I cannot use there. Somebody left his or her umbrella in the office. Okay, what will come in the place of there? His or her. Why his or her will come, I will show you. That is something we will discuss in the third error, which is pronoun case. Okay, somebody is always singular, so you cannot use there. Right now, is it clear? Till now, whatever we have discussed? Anything that requires clarification till now? Okay, I think the PPTs are self-explanatory. That is how we have made it, so that even if you have not attended sessions, then you can understand everything. Okay, now the third error. The third error related to pronouns is pronoun case errors. Now, pronoun case. Okay, after you look at pronoun reference errors, after you look at pronoun agreement errors, finally you will have to determine the case, and you will have to check if you are applying the appropriate case to the pronoun given its context. So whatever the books may say, but in layman's language, case is nothing but the spelling or the form. What is going to be the spelling or what is going to be the form of the pronoun depending on where you are using that pronoun. Okay? If the pronoun is used as the subject of the sentence, then whatever spelling you use is called subjective case. Whatever spelling you use, it is called subjective case. So whenever you use a pronoun as the subject of a sentence, then whatever form or spelling you use, it is called a subjective case. If a pronoun is not in the subject, but it is in the object of the sentence, then the spellings that you use is called objective case. It's called objective case. Okay, is this clear? For example, let me just show you. This is simple to understand. I don't like him. Okay, now this is a pronoun, this is a pronoun. Now this I is used as the subject of the sentence. So this is called the subjective case. This is called the subjective case. Can you use the word I when you don't use it as a subject? No, you cannot. Never. Whenever you are using the pronoun I, always that pronoun is the subject of the sentence. There is another pronoun him. Now the pronoun him is not the subject of the sentence, but it comes in the predicate. It actually is the object of the sentence. So objective. It is called objective case. Okay. Can you use the word him? Him don't like I. Can I say that? Him don't like I. Can I change the sentence like this? No, I cannot. So the pronoun him is the objective case. It will always be used in the object of the sentence. The pronoun I is the subjective case. It will always be used in the subject of the sentence. Okay. Pragya, you have sent some link. I will just check it. Okay. Just give me some time. Okay. So these are two main. These are two main cases: subjective case and objective case. But these two are not the only cases. Pronouns have four cases. Okay, we have something called the possessive case also. Possessive case also. When a pronoun shows possession, when a pronoun shows that it owns something, then the form that you use is called the possessive case. Okay, for example, For example, if I write something like this, the book belongs, uh, the book is mine. So the word mine, it is telling you that it belongs to you, right? So these kind of pronouns which show possession, which show that something belongs to the pronoun, they are called possessive case. Similarly, if I say this is his book, this is his book. So the word his, the pronoun his is showing possession. It is telling you that the book belongs to him. So his is a pronoun which is in the possessive case because it shows possession. Did you understand? So I have discussed three cases. I have discussed three cases of pronoun: subjective case, objective case, possessive case. But in pronouns, we have a fourth case also. In pronouns, we have a fourth case also, and that case is called reflexive case. Okay? The fourth case is called reflexive case. What is the reflexive case? In the pronouns, if you add the word self or selves to a pronoun, when you add the word self or selves to the pronoun, and it actually tells you that an action is directed back on the subject, then it is called the reflexive case. For example, again I'll use the whiteboard. If I say something like this, he hurt himself. He hurt himself. So the word himself, the pronoun himself is reflexive case. Okay? It is reflexive case. Right? So it is very easy to identify the reflexive case because it will always end in selves or self. Similarly, we should not fool ourselves. So see, the pronoun we is subjective case and the pronoun ourselves is reflexive case. In the previous sentence, the pronoun he is subjective case and the pronoun himself is reflexive case. So whenever you add the word self or selves to a pronoun, it becomes reflexive case. So depending on where you are using the pronoun, you will have to use appropriate cases. Can you say we should not fool mine? We should not fool mine. Can we say that? No. Can we say he hurt themselves? No, we can't. We can't. Okay. So we will have to learn. We will have to learn. We will have to take the help of a table that I will just show you. This table shows you that for a particular pronoun, what is its subjective case, what is its objective case, what is its possessive case, and what is its reflexive case. So this table will help you. You will have to learn this table. In fact, I think most of you are already aware. There are just one or two things that I will want you to focus a lot on. We all know that when you use the pronoun I, it is the subject. The objective form is me. The possessive form is my or mine. It can be both my or mine. दोनों हो सकता है. And the reflexive form is myself. For the pronoun you, the subjective and the objective form are the same. Possessive form is your. Some people also use yours. And the reflexive form is yourself. We is the subjective form. Us is the objective form. Our is the possessive form. Ourselves is the reflexive form. Similarly, they, them, their, themselves. He, him, his, himself. She, her, her, herself. And then the last three. The last three, they are most important. They are most important because they are tested a lot. Remember that the pronoun it in the subjective and the objective case, they have the same form. They both are written as it. In the possessive case, it is written it without the apostrophe. I think this is something which I discussed with you when we were talking about grammar, basic grammar. In grammar review session also, I told you that the possessive form of it is it without the apostrophe. If you put an apostrophe there, then that is another word. It apostrophe s means it is. Whereas when you want to say that something belongs to it, then you will have to use it without the apostrophe. And the reflexive form is itself. Many people are confused whether I should use the word who or whom. Who did you give this book to? Whom did you give this book to? Many people are confused. So we will discuss this also in detail. Okay, but right now just remember that who is the subjective case, whom is the objective case, the possessive form is whose, and the reflexive form is himself or herself. For example, I can say, who would like to hurt himself or herself? Anna, who would like to hurt himself or herself? That's the question. So the reflexive form of who is himself or herself. And now the last one, which is very, very important. When you use the pronoun one, remember, when you use the pronoun one, then remember that the objective and the subjective case of one is the same. The possessive case of one is always once. Once always. You cannot say one should not fool himself, or one should not take his status for granted. That is wrong. You should say one should not take one's status for granted. So for one, it is always once. Possessive case is always once, and reflexive case is always oneself. Always. But those other pronouns that end in one, for example, words like anyone, someone, everyone, somebody, these pronouns, the objective case is same, but the possessive case will always be his or her. Always be his or her. You cannot use once. And the reflexive case will always be himself or herself. Remember this. Okay? So what will I say? Someone has dropped his or her bag. So this bag belongs to someone. Can I say someone has dropped one's bag? No, that's wrong. Someone has dropped his or her bag. Okay? Did you understand this? Especially last three. If it is not clear, please ask. Okay. Many times, because grammar is in a state of flux, many people use ours also. Many people use hers also, especially Americans. Especially Americans, what they do is that uh, rather than using her, they will use hers. Rather than using ours, they will use ours. So in American English, that is acceptable. Okay. One self and himself repeat. Okay. I will explain this with the help of an example. One should believe in one's abilities. Okay, one is the subject, one's is the possessive case. I cannot say one should believe in his or her abilities. Okay, one should believe in one's abilities. I should not say one should believe in his or her abilities. Remember this. Okay, did you understand? One should not hurt oneself. I should not say one should not hurt himself or herself. This is the reflexive case. This is what I'm trying to say. So one's and oneself should only be used with one. Now, if I use some other indefinite pronoun that ends in one, for example, anyone. Okay, anyone can claim his or her innocence. Now see, I used anyone as the subject. So for the possessive case, I have to use his or her. I cannot say anyone can claim one's innocence. Okay, is this clear? Another example I will give you. Anyone can blame himself or herself. Now see what is happening. Anyone is the subjective case and himself and herself is the reflexive case. I should not say anyone can blame oneself. That will be wrong. This is what I'm trying to tell you. So keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. Is it clear now? Instead of anyone, I can use someone. Uh, any pronoun that ends in one. Any pronoun that ends in one. For that pronoun, remember the possessive case is always his or her. The reflexive case is always himself and herself. If the pronoun is just one, it is not a pronoun that ends in one. It is the pronoun one, which we saw in case number 1 and case number 2. Then I will have to use one's as the possessive case and oneself as the reflexive case. This is what I want to say. Okay. So if this table is clear for you, if everything is clear, you will have to go through this table a few times. But if right now it is clear, then I'll show you some example sentences. There are a few situations where, for example, after a preposition, what form will come? Before a verb, what form will come? These are situations that we will just take a look at. So there are 4 cases we know for pronouns. We have to see whether we are applying the appropriate case. So let us talk about the subjective case. When I say Janice and I went on an outing, it is correct. Because Janice and I both are subjects and I is the subjective case of the pronoun. Can I say Janice and me went on an outing? No. Why? Because me is not the subjective case. It is not the subjective case. So it is wrong. I cannot say Janice and me went on an outing or went on an outing together. Similarly, over here, in the objective case, we say the picnic, which is the subject. The picnic was attended by Janice and me. Correct. Now, the pronoun that I have used is in the objective case. But can I say the picnic was attended by Janice and I? No, it's wrong because I is the subjective case, whereas the pronoun is used in the object of the sentence, so it is wrong. Nikita, what are you saying? I read in word power made easy that you and I is wrong. Better some example sentence. We should meet. We should meet. A better expression is we should meet. Why is you and I wrong? Remember, why is you and I wrong? Because in grammar there is a rule. In grammar there is a rule that you unnecessarily don't use words unnecessarily. Rather than saying you and I should meet, we can say we should meet. Okay. According to you, he suggested that we should use me. So you and me should meet. You and me should meet. That is what you're trying to say. No, I don't think so. How? Why? What is the logic? You and me should meet. Both are subjects. So how can I use? Nikita is saying usage of I is common, but it is wrong. I I I I don't really think that is correct because I is the subjective case. When I say you and I should meet. So both of us are subjects. I don't think that is grammatically correct. I don't know. Yeah, just check and let me know. Okay. So I cannot use I over here in this particular sentence because the pronoun is in the object of the sentence. That is why I'll have to use Janice and me. Okay. Next. Now remember, just like pronoun and nouns must agree, similarly, the subject, the object, and the possessive forms must all be in concordance with each other. They must all be in concordance with each other. That means they must all match each other. Okay. So I cannot in one place use the subjective form of another pronoun and in another place use the objective form of another pronoun. So they must all be in concordance with each other. What is the meaning of this? I will just show you. Okay. So Pragya, what is the question? No one, no one but she. I think she because वो subject है. Pragya, I think answer is she. No, that is not possible. Which book? Which book says her? Word power made easy. Okay, I will have to check that book. I will have to check that book. No one but she is a center. This is the subject. So how can it be her? No, I don't really believe that. I will have to check that. Okay, I'll check Norman Lewis page number 56. I will check that. Okay. In fact, for grammar, as far as Norman Lewis is concerned, I think for words is okay. I was not aware that there's grammar also there in Word Power Made Easy because the book that I had saw did not have any grammar. It has been added. Okay, it has been added. Possibly. Okay, that is possible. So I will have to check that. But the book that I am referring to, the book that I generally refer to is Ren and Martin. And we all are aware that as far as grammar is concerned, in our country, that is the Bible. Ren and Martin is the Bible, isn't it? So I am not very certain about what Norman Lewis is saying as far as grammar is concerned. I will have to check that. I'll have to check what is the reason. Okay. So let me check. Probably in the next session, I'll let you know. But I'll have to get hold of the recent edition. I don't have the recent edition. I will check it from somewhere. Okay. What was I saying? That the subjective case, the objective case, and the possessive case must all match each other. It should not be, jumbled up. It should all match. They should all match. For example, I should not say one must mind your own business. That's wrong because the possessive case of one is not your. It is one's. One must mind one's own business. Similarly, can I say some of you will have to bring their own beer? No, that is wrong because you is singular. So how can I use plural there? I will have to use some of you will have to bring your own beer. Singular. It is a possessive form of you. The possessive form of you is your. Similarly, if I say if anyone comes over, take their name. Again, it's not possible because anyone is singular. There is plural. What will I have to say? If anyone comes over, take his or her name. I just now showed you that the possessive case of anyone is his or her. One should take your responsibility seriously is wrong. The possessive case of one is one's. One should take one's responsibility seriously. So whatever case you use, whether you are using reflexive case or whether you are using possessive case, whether you are using subjective case, whether you are using objective case, all must be in concordance. It must match. It should not be all jumbled up. Okay. Now, other things that you need to keep in mind is that remember that whenever you use the subjective case of the pronoun, the subject is actually the doer of the action. In any sentence, the subject is the doer of the action. Okay, and the objective form is the receiver or target of the action. So this tells us that generally you will find a subjective case pronoun before a verb, and after a verb, generally the pronoun that comes will be in the objective form. So if the pronoun is before the verb, generally it should be in the subjective case. If the pronoun is after the verb, it should be generally in the objective case. Because objective form is the receiver of the action. So it will come after the action. So I'll show you some sentences which will exemplify this. For example, when you say, how can she blame? Verb hai, how can she blame you and he for the accident? Now, you is all right, but can I use he here? No, this is wrong. Because over here in both the pronouns, I will have to use objective case. After the verb, I will have to use objective case. So it will be you and him. Similarly, John and me went for the party. Went is the verb. Before the verb, I will have to use the subjective case of the pronoun. Me is wrong. Me is wrong because me is objective case. I'll have to say John and I went for the party. And I think Nikita, over here, this is clarified. The thing that you were talking about. John and I. Okay. Between you and me. Okay. Uh, no, but then you changed the sentence, Nikita. You changed the sentence. You added between. See, your query was, I cannot use you and I. Okay, now you are saying whenever there's a word between, after the word between, I should say you and me and not you and I. There's a difference. Your query and this example which you have given me, there is a difference. And this example which you have given me is right. After a preposition, when there is a preposition, after the preposition, if we have a pronoun, If we have a pronoun after the preposition, then it is in the objective form, not the subjective form. So what he's saying is correct. Did you understand? Mistake kya hai? You simply said you and I. You and I. You said this is wrong. No, this is not wrong. This is right. This is right. But इसके आगे अगर आप between add कर दोगे ना, when you add between, you are adding a preposition, then everything changes. Because abhi, I will just come to that slide. In fact, probably the next 2 or 3 slides will talk about preposition. Just like right now we are talking about verbs. After the verbs you have objective forms. Before the verbs you have subjective forms. So same thing happens. After the preposition, generally you will use the objective form of the pronoun. That is something which I will just tell you. Okay, so I think that doubt is clear now. That doubt is now clear. If there is no preposition, then you and I is correct. You and I will go to the party, correct. But when you say we should share this chocolate, this chocolate should be shared between you and me. Why you and me? Because I have used a preposition. Okay. Now, what was I saying? After the verb, use the objective case. So can you say Kate married he? No, because he is the subjective case. You will have to say Kate married him. Similarly, can you say you, me, and him are to be blamed? Are to be blamed? No, this is the verb. Before the verb, you have to use the subjective case. Me and him are not the subjective case. Me and him are not the subjective case, so this sentence is wrong. What will I say? You, he, and I are to be blamed. Now, all three are subjective cases. They are subjects. You, he, and I are to be blamed for the mess. Did you understand? Are you getting this? Anybody have any confusion? Please let me know if anybody has any confusion. Many people also ask me a question. Just a minute. Many people ask me a question. What is the order? Should I say you, he, and I? Should I say I, he, and you? Should I say he, you, and I? When we are talking about three different people, and you are one of them, what should be the order? Many people have that question. Okay, should I say you, he, and I? Should I say I, he, and you? 231. 231. Okay, I in subject is always in the last, right? Okay. Yes, yes. I also believe that is absolutely right. 231. 231. The second person, the third person, the first person. This is the order. This is what Ren and Martin will also tell you. This is what my teacher also told me. In fact, my teacher taught me in a very good way. Whatever be the case, he told me whatever be the case, always keep the donkey in the end. Always keep the donkey in the last. So you are the donkey, remember. Always keep yourself last. So this is something which I remember. This is something which I remember. But many people say, many people, in fact, I have, we have been associated with CAT students for the past around 20 years. So in the past 20 years, every year students say that no, sir, we have been taught that, whenever it is something bad that you're talking about, if you are talking about taking blame, then you should take the blame first. You should say I, you, and he are to be blamed. So you should be the first person to take the blame. But whenever it is a matter of taking credit, then you should keep yourself last. That is what students have told me. Many students have told me. Okay, over the years, many students have told me. But seriously, I have never found that rule anywhere. Can you tell me where you have read that rule, Nikita? Any authentic source? McGraw-Hill book. Okay. McGraw-Hill book. I understand. I understand. Actually, there are so many books on grammar that and everybody, each book will tell you a different rule. So it becomes very problematic. It becomes very problematic. But as far as a very authentic source is concerned, I don't think there is a very authentic source which actually says that when it comes to taking a blame, you should put yourself first, and when it comes to taking credit, you should put yourself last. Okay, so 231 is the absolutely correct order. Always keep the donkey at the last. Okay. Now let us talk about comparisons. Remember, when you are comparing, one of them is noun and the other one is a pronoun. And the noun is in the subject. So even though it may seem ridiculous, but if the comparison is with a subject noun, then you cannot use an objective pronoun. For comparisons to maintain equity, whenever you are comparing a pronoun with a noun that is in the subject of the sentence, then that pronoun also will have to be in the subjective case. So you should not say Ted is more intelligent than me. You should say Ted is more intelligent than I, or I am. Even though this pronoun is not the subject, even though this pronoun is not in the subject of the sentence, but whenever there is a comparison, then you will have to follow this rule. So subject nouns must be compared to a subjective pronoun and not an objective pronoun. Otherwise, your sentence, your comparison is not parallel. Your comparison is not parallel, it is not equal, and that is why it will become wrong. Remember this. Many people say Ted is more intelligent than me. That is wrong. He he is better. He is better than me. He is better than I am. So in comparisons, to maintain equity with a subjective noun, you will have to use subjective pronoun, not the objective case. Okay, so this is comparisons. Now we come to prepositions that we were discussing, Nikita. After a preposition, if there is a pronoun, then that pronoun should be in the objective case. Prepositions are followed by the objective form of the pronoun. So the glass was broken by whom? By John and I is wrong. It should be by John and me. Similarly, she has got tired of. Of is the preposition. So I'll have to use the objective case. I'll have to say she has got tired of him. I cannot say she has got tired of he. So after the preposition, you require objective form. Okay? This is something which we just discussed. Now, another thing which you need to keep in mind is, over here there are other examples. Many people say, I am sick of he prying into my personal life. Of is the preposition. After the preposition, you should not use the subjective case. You should say, I am sick of him prying into my personal life. Similarly, can you say look at she? No, at is the preposition. So what will you say? Look at her. You cannot say look at she. Her, him, these are all objective cases. Okay? Now, one more thing about case that you need to keep in mind is that whenever you are using the to be forms of the verb, then after the to be forms of the verb, you will have to use subject pronouns. You will have to use the subjective case. Okay? You will have to use the subjective case. What are the to be forms of the verb? Is, are, was, were, am. These are the to be forms of the verb. Okay. So after the to be forms of the verb, do not use the objective case, use the subjective case. For example, it must be him who called me. Wrong. It must be he who called me. Now, another very good way to know that you are using the to be form of the verb is that generally in these sentences, the word who will be there. The word who will be there. When you see the word who, then you know that you have to use the subjective case. So, it was her who proposed it. Wrong again, this is wrong. Why it is wrong? Because was is the to be form of the verb. So, what will you say? It was she who proposed it. And this one, ये तो very common mistake है. When you come back home and you knock on the door, somebody from inside says, "Who is it?" We generally say, "It's me. It is me." That is what we say. But that's wrong because I'm using a to be form of the verb. I should not say it's me. When somebody asks, "Who is it?" I should say, "It's I." So when you use the to be form of the verb, after the to be form of the verb, you should use the subjective case and not the objective case. So remember these rules about cases. These are rules about cases. Generally, what did we discuss? Let us recapitulate. We discussed that generally before a verb, use a subjective pronoun. After the verb, use a objective pronoun. When you are making comparisons with the subjective noun, use a subjective pronoun. After a preposition, use the objective case of the pronoun. If you are using to be form of the verb, then after the to be form of the verb, use the subjective case of the pronoun. Okay, these are things that we have discussed. If you have any doubt, please ask. Anything that requires clarification, please ask. Right. We have discussed subjective case. We have discussed objective case. Now let us discuss the possessive case. Possessive case, sometimes they can become tricky. Otherwise, generally, they are not very tricky. In some situations, they become tricky. For example, if you look at this sentence, it says, Jerry's room is so messy that his mother calls him a pig. Jerry's room is so messy that his mother calls him a pig. Now, I have used two pronouns, him, his and him. It seems that both of them refer to Jerry. Okay? But this noun, Jerry's, it is in the possessive case. Yes or no? It is in the possessive case. The noun is in the possessive case. And we know that all cases should be in agreement. So if the noun is in the possessive case, the pronoun also should be in the possessive case. The pronoun his is in the possessive case. The problem is with the pronoun him. It is not in the possessive case. It is in the objective case. Are you getting this? Jerry's room is so messy that his mother calls him a pig. The pronoun him is in the objective case, whereas the noun that it refers to is in the possessive case. So it does not match. It does not match. It is not in concordance. That means there is an error. That means there is an error. The word him is used incorrectly. So although it seems that the word him refers to Jerry, but over here it is not Jerry that is mentioned, it is Jerry's with an apostrophe S. and that is why you will have to change this pronoun. You will have to change this pronoun because if you want to use an objective case pronoun, then the noun also should be in the objective case. That is not the case here. So I will have to change it. And the correct form is like this. Jerry's room, this is possessive case. Jerry's room is so messy that his mother, possessive case, calls Jerry. So instead of using any pronoun, what I did is that I used a noun, problem solved. Jerry's room is so messy that his mother calls Jerry a pig. The problem is solved now. Did you understand what just happened? So although possessive cases are not so complicated, but these are what this is just one example where there's some complication. Now, Raj, the question is, if you want to use pronoun, you will not be able to use it. You will not be able to use it, and if you use it, it will be wrong. You will have to use a possessive case pronoun. Possessive case pronoun तो his हो सकता है बस. Jerry's room is so messy that his mother calls he's a pig. Will not make sense. So it is not possible. Grammatically, it's not possible. Okay. Any clarification is required here? Okay. Now, Pragya, you had sent me an article. I was just going through that article, and if you have read it, if you read the full article, it's here. Just read this portion also. This portion towards the end of that article, it's written that most style guides will prescribe it. It will prescribe it means it is considered wrong, and it is considered less appropriate in formal writing, even though some people want to use it, but actually it is wrong. It is considered wrong. Okay. यहाँ पे एक और है. You can see over here from the same article. Uh, they as singular. They as singular has gained currency in official context, though it has been strongly criticized at least since the late 19th century. Okay. Now let's come to these four pronouns that are the most important, and every time you see the word it or its, they or their, every time you see the pronouns it or its, they or their in your sentence, stop. Stop and check. Stop and check. There is a 90% possibility that something will be wrong there. Okay? So mistakes related to these four pronouns are so frequent. They are so frequent that you should stop and make sure that they have been used correctly. These four pronouns: it, its, they, and their. The most recurrent mistakes. Okay. Now remember, very quickly, let us take a look. Remember that the pronoun there is the possessive form. It is possessive form and it is plural. It is the plural form of they. It is the possessive form of they. And it is plural. Because it is plural, there can only refer to a plural subject. But the problem is that unfortunately in everyday speech, we use the word there as we use the word there for singular subjects also. But even though many people use it for singular subjects, it's wrong. I think Pragya, you also said this. Somebody should bring their books. Remember, the word there is plural always. It is plural. So please do not use it with singular subjects. When you say when the person calls, take down their information. It's wrong because the person is singular. There is plural. How will you correct it? When the person calls, take down his or her information. But yes, if instead of the person we have used when the people call, now it's plural. When the people call, take down their information. Now it is matching. Both the people and the pronoun there, they are both are plural. Okay? Okay. More examples are here. Everyone here, everyone here will need their own pencil. Wrong. Everyone is singular. How can you use plural pronoun? Everyone here will need his or her own pencil. Correct. And also remember the difference it's and it. It is the possessive form without the apostrophe. There's a huge difference between this it's and this it's. Because this it's with an apostrophe means it is. It is not the possessive form. So don't confuse them. Okay. So it is used as the possessive form and it is used as singular pronoun. So we say the dog ended up chasing its tail. That means this tail belongs to the dog. Whereas I say the elephant started snoring as it was tired. So it refers to the singular, the elephant. Remember these four. It, its, they, and there. Okay. Now we have discussed these basic pronouns. There are four other pronouns that I want to discuss because generally there's confusion. I want to discuss with you the difference between the pronouns that and which. These two pronouns, they are actually called relative pronouns. That and which are relative pronouns. What are relative pronouns? Relative pronouns are those pronouns that can also act as conjunctions. That means they can join two sentences. Now remember, on sentence correction questions, you will very frequently be asked to choose between the pronouns that and which. Just for the sake of your knowledge, remember that both of these pronouns belong to a group of words that are known as relative pronouns. What are relative pronouns? Relative pronouns are those pronouns that work as conjunctions. Okay? That actually work as conjunctions. There are five relative pronouns: who, whom, whose, which, and that. These are five pronouns that are called relative pronouns because these five pronouns can be used to join the two sentences. That is why these five are relative pronouns. So that and which also belong to this category. Now the question is, what is the difference? When in a sentence I use the word that, and when in a sentence I use the word which, is there a difference in meaning? It can be. There can be. Okay, I'll just show you with the help of an example. You can see over here there are two sentences. The fifth card, which is black in color, belongs to Jack. And sentence number 2, the fifth car that is black in color belongs to Jack. Now the question is, are both of these sentences referring to the same car? The answer is not necessarily. Why? Because if you look at sentence number 1, in sentence number 1, you know that the car which belongs to Jack is definitely the fifth car. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is at the fifth position. That is 100% certain. Plus, you have additional information that this car is black in color. But even if you did not have this information, even if I remove this information, still you know that Jack's car is car number 5. But yes, I have given you additional information that this car number 5 is black in color. Okay? So this car is at the fifth position. But when you look at sentence number 2, the fifth car that is black in color belongs to Jack. That means that it is the fifth black car. So it's possible, it is absolutely possible that this fifth black car is at position number 15. Position number 15 is a black car. And before this, there were 4 cars that were black. These 4 cars that are in circle, they were black. And the fifth car that is black is number 15th car. So these two are not the same cars. In both these sentences, we may be talking about different cars. Did you understand? Did you understand this? What does this tell us? What does this tell us? This tells us that when you use the word that, whatever information comes after the word that is essential information. It is essential information. Without this information, you cannot find out the subject. You cannot locate that car. It is essential. Whereas, when you use the word which, whatever information you provide, that is non-essential. Even without that information, you can easily locate the car. Okay, so the biggest difference between the words which and that is that when you use the word that, then whatever information you provide is essential information. Whereas when you use the word which, then whatever information you provide is non-essential information. You can remove that information, still you will reach the car. So this is the biggest difference. This is the biggest difference, okay? So whatever I just told you, it's here. Sentence number 1, the fifth car, which is black in color, belongs to Jack. So we know for certain that this sentence is definitely referring to the fifth car. And we have additional information that it is black in color. But even without this information, we can easily identify the car because it has to be car number 5. Whereas when you look at sentence number 2, the second sentence takes you to the fifth black car. Now this car can be the fifth car in case all the first 4 cars are also black. Or it can be the 10th car or the 20th car. In fact, it can be at any number as long as it satisfies the criterion of being the fifth black car. Okay? So this tells us that whatever information comes after the word that is essential. Without that information, you cannot locate that car. So whenever you want to provide non-essential information, use the word which. Whenever you want to provide essential information, use the word that. That is what I want to tell you. Thus, whenever you use the word which, there are certain rules that you should follow. Even though I've seen many people not following those rules. There are many authors that do not follow those rules. But according to grammar rules, remember, whenever you use the word which, then the information that you're giving is only explanatory. It is not needed to identify the subject of the sentence. In fact, you can easily remove the phrase which starts with which and yet the meaning of the sentence will remain unchanged. Whereas that is necessary to identify the subject of the sentence, and it cannot be done away with. Okay, I am coming to that, Pragya. That is exactly what I'm coming to. So what is the difference in usage? When you are using which and when you are using that, remember, when you use which, the rule states that immediately before the word which there should be comma, and immediately before the comma there should be a noun. That is the rule. Okay, this is the rule. Immediately before the word which there should be a comma, and immediately before the comma there should be a noun. And this word which will describe this noun which comes immediately before the comma. Whereas whenever you use the word that, no comma is required. No comma is required. So remember, okay? Can you tell me in a simple line when exactly do you use a comma? When you want to separate things or when you want to take a pause? When you want to separate things or when you want to take a pause? Then you use comma. See, semicolon and colon. Many people, different books will tell you different things. Generally, this is semicolon, this is colon. Okay. We generally say that when you are using colon, then before and after, whatever comes, they should be complete. They should be complete. They should be complete sentences. Even though they would be saying different things, but they should be complete. But when you use semicolon, then whatever comes after and before, the first one should be complete. The second one can be incomplete. This is what I know. Okay. But then some books will say the opposite. That is the problem with colons and semicolons. Some books will say the opposite. Some books will say when there is a semicolon, then both the sentences should be complete. When there is a colon, then then the first should be complete, the second should be incomplete. That is what many books tell you. Yes, I will give you an example, but first let me finish. Okay, let me just finish this. Okay, so to make it easy for you, remember the two rules for the word which to be correct on the exam. First rule is that the word which should always come after a comma, and second rule is that the word which must refer to the noun that comes immediately before the comma. In case these conditions are not satisfied, then there is a pronoun error and it needs to be corrected. That is what the grammar rules tells us, but I have seen many cases, I have seen that these rules are not followed. These rules are not followed, and even though these rules are not followed, they have marked it as correct. I have seen this. Okay, but I'm just telling you the rule. For example, you can see the fifth car in the row, which is black in color, belongs to Jack. So which comes after a comma, first condition satisfied. But the problem is that now the word which will describe row. It seems that the row is black in color. The fifth car in the row, which is black in color. So it seems that it is the row which is black in color and not the car. So the description changes, the meaning changes. I am not describing the color of the car. I am describing the color of the row. Okay? Did you understand? Okay. Now, if before the word which there is a preposition, if before the word which there is a preposition, then these two rules do not apply. Then these two rules do not apply. That means there will be no comma before the word which, and there will be no noun before the word which. So remember, these rules do not apply when which is preceded by a preposition. For example, you say in which, of which, from which. So when you use a sentence, the group of which I am a member has been dissolved. Because there's a preposition immediately before the word which, then the above two rules do not apply. No, no, Nikita. Why? Why? Why there should be no comma? Because because see, of which I am a member. This is a modifier. This is a modifier. This is extra information about the group. Okay. Now remember, usually what we do is we separate modifiers with the help of a comma. Usually. But that only happens when the sentence is very long and there are many modifiers. But when you have a single modifier in a sentence, ज़्यादा complication नहीं है. You may not separate it with a comma. Okay? Nobody can tell you with 100% certainty when to use a comma and when not to use a comma. It is just, when you are reading things slowly, if you believe that it is becoming complicated, then break it down. Use commas. If you believe that ideas are mingling or merging, then use commas. If you believe that after reading many words, you get the feeling that a pause is needed, use a comma. There is no 100% certain rule that you have to use a comma after this word, after this word. Okay. Okay. Now let us come to the last one, that is the usage of the pronouns who and whom. When should we use who and when should we use whom? Remember, who is the subjective case of the pronoun and whom is the objective case of the pronoun. But there is a lot of confusion. Should I say who or whom did you give this book to? Should I use who or should I use whom? So very simple, whenever there is a confusion between who and whom, always answer that question. पहले इस question को answer करो. Okay? Who or whom should I give this book to? Answer will be, you should give this book to him. If the answer to your question is him or her, if the answer to your question is him or her, then you have to use whom. If the answer to your question is he or she, then you have to use who. Who or whom will go there? Who or whom will be present in the classroom? What is going to be the answer? He will be present in the classroom. She will be present in the classroom. Because in the answer you are using he or she, that means you have to use who. Who or whom is this movie about? This movie is about him. This movie is about her. Because you use him or her, that means you have to use whom. It's as simple as that. Okay? Did you understand? So, who is going for the movie? He is going for the movie. Whom is this movie about? This movie is about him. Nikita, if the answer is it, it, who, then you need to use the possessive case. Whose book is this? It's his book. When you use his, then you are using possessive case. Okay. So remember, if the answer to the whom question is I, he or she, then you should use who. If the answer is me, him or her, then you should use who. Yes. Whom should I give this book to? I should give it to him. So yes, the question should be whom, not who. Okay. You can see some sentences. Who is going for the movie? The answer will be he is going for the movie. That is why we have used who correctly. Similarly, when I say whom is this movie about, the answer is this movie is about him. Similarly, remember after the preposition, I have told you after the preposition what happens. After the preposition, you use the subjective case. So whom is the subjective case? So when you have to make a choice between who and whom, and they come after the preposition, then remember after the preposition you should use the word whom. With whom, one of whom. You should not say with who, one of whom, because whom is the objective phrase. Is this clear? Okay. Based on this understanding, there is a small exercise. There is a small exercise based on this understanding. So let us solve it. Just a minute. Here, I'll just give you the rights. You can check. This is exercise based on pronouns. There are how many questions? Uh, there are 15 questions. So there are 15 questions. So I think 15 minutes will be sufficient. Please take a look. Start. Okay, I think a few students cannot navigate because they have joined this session through a mobile phone. So what I'll do is that one by one we will solve these questions together so that these students do not feel left out. Okay, I think that is what we should do. So question number one. Question number one. Have you all solved this question? Question number one. What does it say? Scientists have observed large concentrations of heavy metal deposits in the upper 20 centimeters of Baltic Sea sediments, which are consistent with the growth of industrial activity there. The problem is that in this question, the problem is that the word which is referring to sediments, whereas he's talking about the observations made by the scientists. The subject of the sentence is the observations made by the scientists. It is the observations that are consistent. It is the observations that are consistent. It is not the sediments with which are consistent. Okay. So I think answer for this question should be D. Answer for this question should be D. Scientists have observed large concentrations of heavy metal deposits in the upper 20 centimeters of sediments from the Baltic Sea. Findings consistent with the growth of industrial activity in the area. Okay. Another problem in this question is he has used the pronoun there. There where? I can ask there where? Where is the antecedent? Where is the industrial activity happening? It is happening in which area? In the Baltic Sea. So D I think should be the answer. D is incorrect because he simply says consistent. What is consistent? What is consistent is not mentioned. That is why E is not right. C cannot be right because these findings are consistent with its growth. Its is singular, whereas I'm talking about sediments, which is plural, does not match. C also is wrong. It is not the sediments where the growth is happening. So this is also wrong. And number A is a repetition of what is mentioned here. We know it is wrong. Answer is D for question number 1. Did you understand why? Number 2. Question number 2. The cameras of the Voyager 2 spacecraft detected 6 small, previously unseen moons circling Uranus, which doubles to 12 the number of satellites now known as orbiting the distant planet. Again, the word which should describe Uranus. Now, Uranus does not double to 12 the number of satellites. It is not it is not Uranus. It is the cameras, the cameras and the pictures taken by the cameras. So again, galat ho gaya. Yes or no? So we will have to use, what will we have to use? We will have to say that doubling, or number A is wrong, number C is wrong, number E is wrong, because all of them use which. So our answer can either be B or our answer can be D. The cameras of Voyager 2 spacecraft detected 6 small previously unseen moons circling Uranus. Now this detection, what has this detection done? Doubling to 12. Because of this detection, now the number of satellites that orbit this planet is now doubled to 12. Earlier it was 6. Earlier we thought it was 6. Now we know it is 12. The question is the answer going to be B or is it going to be D? Tell me, what will you mark, B or D? Nikita, you will mark B. Raj, you will mark D. Okay. D is not right. Are they known as orbiting? Known as orbiting means they are named orbiting. That is their name. India is known as Hindustan. India is known as Bharat. Known as means it is named. So are these satellites named the distant planet? No. These satellites are known to orbit the distant planet. That is why D is wrong. Answer is B. You all must be aware that when you get a question like this, in which a part has been underlined, when you get a question like this in which the part has been underlined, only the underlined portion will have some error, if at all there is an error. It's possible that there may not be any error, but whatever correction you have to make only in the underlined portion. I think you must be aware of this. So for question number 2, answer is B. Number 3. The British Admiralty and the War Office met in March 1892 to consider a possible Russian attempt to seize Constantinople and how they will have to act militarily to deal with them. The question is, who are them? Why have they met? Because they are talking about a possible Russian attempt. It is singular. So they are not going to deal with them. They have to deal with it. They have to deal with an event that is going to happen. Okay? So the word them is wrong. So the British Admiralty and the War Office, they met. They met and they discussed. What did they discuss? I think answer for this question should be D. They must have discussed what military action would be necessary in order to deal with such an event. Such an event is singular. What event is he talking about? A possible Russian attempt to seize Constantinople. Okay? I think the answer for this question should be D. You can check. Next one. Explain E and the necessity of what kind of military action in order to take for dealing with it. Is it right, Raj? These two offices, the British Admiralty and War Office, met in March 1892 to consider something, to consider X, and the necessity of what kind of military action in order to take for dealing with it. Grammatically incorrect. If you read the entire thing, it is grammatically incorrect. Number 4. The Glass House Mountains in Queensland, Australia were sighted in 1770 by the English navigator Captain James Cook, by whom they were named supposedly because its sheer wet rocks glistened like glass. What is wrong? किसके rocks हैं ये? The rocks are the rocks of the Glass House Mountains, plural. It is plural. So how can I use singular its? How can I use singular its? Okay. The rocks of this mountain, these mountains, it should be plural, right? So I think answer for this question should be D. Pragya C is wrong. The Glass House Mountains were sighted in 1770 by the English navigator Captain James Cook, who so named them supposedly because their sheer wet rocks glistened like glass. Now, number C is wrong. It was cited by English navigator Captain James Cook, naming them supposedly since then. Naming them, who named them? You have actually eliminated that part. That this name was given by Captain James Cook. If you simply say naming them, then we don't know about the person who named these mountains. That is why C is wrong. Nikita, B तो wrong है. B इसलिए wrong है because of the word and. By whom they were named supposedly and there. So Captain James Cook ने दो चीज किया. Number 1, Captain James Cook named them, and number 2, Captain James Cook, what happened? And their sheer wet rocks glistened like glass. Did Captain James do two things? No. Captain James only named them. That is why B is also wrong. C is also wrong. Is this all right? Is this clear for all of you? Number 5. In late 1997, the chambers inside the pyramid of the Pharaoh Menkaure at Giza were closed to visitors for cleaning and repair. Due to moisture exhaled by tourists, which raised its humidity to such levels so that salt from the stone was crystallizing and fungus was growing on the walls. एक mistake तो यहीं पर है. Its humidity. These are chambers, plural. So the humidity inside the chambers have increased. The humidity has increased, right? So it cannot be its because its is singular. You will have to use a plural pronoun there. Okay? Another problem is, another problem is immediately before the word which we have tourists. So it seems that the tourists have raised the humidity to such levels. But that's wrong. It is the moisture exhaled by tourists which has raised humidity levels to such levels. It is not tourists per se, but the moisture exhaled by the tourists. These are two mistakes. These are two mistakes, and how can we correct these mistakes? I think the answer for this question E. Yes. It was closed. The pyramid, the chambers inside the pyramid were closed to visitors for cleaning and repair because because moisture exhaled by tourists had raised the humidity within them to such levels that salt from the stone was crystallizing and fungus was growing on the walls. E should be the answer for question number 5. Did you get this? Okay. Number 6. What does question number 6 say? It was us who had left before he arrived. Is this correct? It was us who had left before he arrived. It was we. Why? Why? Because यहाँ पे you'll have to use the subjective case. You need the subjective case over here. Whereas what you have done, you have used us. You have used us, which actually is objective case. So it was we who had left before he arrived. Answer is D. Number 7. Find the part which has an error in it. In the forthcoming elections, every man and woman, singular, every man and woman, singular हो गया. Every man and woman must vote for the candidate of his or her choice. So the error is in D. Okay. Next one. If one has to decide about the choice of a career, you should choose that option which is really beneficial. If one has to decide, then one should choose. That is why number C has an error. Question 9. Who have you invited for the lecture on astrophysics this evening? What will you say? I have invited him. So instead of who, you should have used whom. The error is in A. Yes, this is number 9. Then let's come to other questions. 10. Which of the following is a correct sentence? Which of the following is correct? Each of the students, जैसे each the moment you have each before the subject, it becomes singular. If it is singular, can I use have? No, wrong. When I'm using the word each, can I use a singular noun? No, because if there's only one person, then why do I have to use each? Each of the students has, till now correct, done their work. Now this is singular. How can I use their? There is plural. Wrong. So answer is D. Each of the students has done his work. Yes, answer is D. Are you getting this? Why it is happening? Anybody has any issue? Please ask. Number 11. It was she or her at the door who received us last night. When I'm using to be forms of the verb, then I will have to use the subjective case of the pronoun. So it was she at the door who received us last night. This is number 11. Okay, next one. Number 12. Select the option that indicates the grammatically correct and appropriate sentences. which are appropriate. Let's see. The managers told the workers that they would receive a bonus. Wrong. Question is, who are they? They workers हैं या they managers हैं? Who will receive the bonus? Pronoun reference error. Pronoun reference error. Okay. The pickle bowl was empty, but we were tired of eating it anyway. How can you eat the pickle bowl? It is referring to the pickle bowl, but how can you eat the pickle bowl? Wrong. Ramesh called Jane all day, but she did not answer the phone. Correct. You and your family have, ये plural हो गया, have to hire a room for the night. Correct. According to the newspapers, what happened according to the newspapers? The legislation was passed. Correct. So C, D, and E correct, which means we have to select grammatically correct. That means 4. Answer is 4. Okay. Number 13. Question number 13. Again, select the correct sentences. Whom did you give the Dark Knight CD to? Answer is, I gave it to him. So correct. My uncle, who is the subject. My uncle gave my brother and I. Wrong. We are not the subjects. We are not the subject, so I cannot use I. My uncle gave my brother and me a new CD player this year. B is wrong. A student who does not produce their hall ticket. Wrong. A student is singular, there is plural. Wrong. Everything, singular, is in its place. Singular. Correct. You and I have to share this story. Correct. So A, D, sorry. कौन कौन सा correct है? A, D, and E. A, D, and E. A, D, and E means 4. Yeah, option 4. Option number 4. Number 14 and number 15. Number 14, again select which is correct. The children should spend time with their parents. It would make them feel better. Error. Who are them? The parents or the children? Who will feel better? Wrong. Pronoun reference error. Number B. One should not neglect one's duties. Not his duties. Wrong. You are the one. You are the one who I love. So is this right or wrong? You are the one who I love. It's wrong. Because who is the subject? I love you. So whom होना चाहिए था? Whom I love. Wrong. From Africa, they were captured and taken to France. The question is, who are they? This I have used a pronoun, but there is no antecedent. So D is wrong. There is no antecedent. If there is no antecedent, then I should not use a pronoun. It's wrong. The ring is in the box. Please keep the ring is in the box. Please keep it in the cupboard. So what is it? What should I keep in the cupboard? The box or the ring? Again, pronoun reference error. So all statements are wrong. Answer is 5. Okay. Finally, the baby heard it's with an apostrophe or his leg while crawling on the floor. Answer should be first one. The baby hurt its leg while crawling on the floor. Why? Why? Because when I use the word baby and not child, when I use the word baby, that means it is so small that from its look and outward appearance, I cannot know for certain whether it is a male or a female. So when you are not certain whether it is male or female, then it's better that you use it. Many people say that it is used only for things that are non-living. Many people have this notion, and actually it is correct. Yes, it is generally used when you are talking about non-living things. But when we talk about babies and we don't know it's the baby's gender, then we can use it. Okay. So I think this was the last question. Yeah. Please take a look. Anything that requires clarification, please ask. Semicolon and colon. Actually, that is the problem. Semicolon and colon. Just a minute. Wait, please. Problem is that semicolon. Okay, semicolon, and then you have colon. This one and this one. Now, different books will say different things. Generally, what they will say that semicolon. When you are using semicolon, you have two statements A and B. This statement also should be complete. This statement also should be complete. Okay, both these statements should be complete. That is what uh, most of the books will say, right? Okay. Now, as far as colon is concerned, what happens is when you have colon, then generally this one should be complete. This can be incomplete. This can be incomplete. But another problem is that when you go on reading, you will see that many times they will say that no, even in this case, this can be complete and this also can be complete. So all in all, what I have come to understand is that you can use both colons and semicolons in both the ways. You can use both colons and semicolons in both the ways. Okay, that is what I have come to understand. That that is what my experience tells me, because different books will say different things. If you look at different sources, different sources will tell you different things. For example, they will say that you should use a colon when number A, this is complete, and after that you want to make a list. For example, you want to say, I like many kinds of music. I like many kinds of music. Colon, pop, jazz, rock. Now, if you see this first statement is complete, the second statement is not complete. The second statement is not complete. Generally, people say if instead of this colon, you can use the word namely, then you should use a colon. I like many kinds of music, namely pop, jazz, and rock. ऐसा बोलते हैं, that is what they say. But the problem is that I can also use colon when both the two sentences are complete. So it becomes very dicey. It becomes very dicey. So this means that when the sentence is complete, I have an option. I can use both colon and semicolon. Okay. In fact, you also can check. When you check on the usages of semicolons and colons, you will see that different books, different sources will say different things. That is why it becomes confusing. So as far as I am concerned, whenever I look at colon and semicolon, I treat them as same. I treat them as same. Okay. Okay. Any more queries you have? Anything that requires clarification? Right. In that case, that's it for today. Whenever we meet next, we will talk about verb tenses. Now, verb tenses class, it's going to be all theoretical in nature, because what I have seen is that you only need to know what is past, present, and future. Otherwise, remaining things, they don't generally directly test you. But still, because we will be talking about tenses, that is why we will take a look at all the tenses and and it's going to be pretty theoretical in nature. That class is going to be very theoretical in nature. Okay, and after tenses, we will look at comparisons and parallelism also next week. Right? Take care. Good night. I think you have another class. Okay, Pragya, it was a good session. Okay, thank you, and take care. Good night. Yeah, I just saw that I think the next session has been cancelled. There's a message on WhatsApp. The next session will not be happening today. That is what message is there. Okay, okay. So you can take it off. You can rest now. Okay. Weekend. What weekend? It's already 8:30 now. But still, whatever time is left, go and enjoy. Or you have a leave tomorrow. Good for you. Very good for you. You have a leave tomorrow. Great. So enjoy yourself, and I'll beat you whenever we have the next session. Get you. Okay. Take care. Good night.
Music